What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. First of all, let's fix this fucking camera. I'm gonna make that shit square. Good. Now, today we're gonna talk about some shit, guys. I'm fired up. I'm fired up today. This is gonna be... We'll see where this goes, alright? I've been making a lot of these bro versus science videos again lately. Specifically because a lot of the stuff that I talked about 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, now has science to back it up. The bros are right. And I've noticed over time, the last 5 years, all these science people, these wingnuts out there that were fucking so smart, have actually pretty much disappeared. At the very least, they've produced such little results based on what they were talking about that people have kind of strayed away from it, even though the science is there and they understand the science is science that. But then they're watching the bros get better results. So they go over to the bros and ask, well, what are you doing? I'm doing this. Well, that goes against what science says. Well, I'm doing this. And then they do that and it works. So now they're like, well, how the fuck is this possible? Now it doesn't matter. People just want results. They don't want to waste their time. They don't want to spin their wheels. They want the most amount of results in the shortest amount of time possible, and that's all there is to it. They don't give a fuck if there's a paper behind it or not. That's where we're at in 2021. Now, today I'm going to talk about something that really pisses me off. I mean, to the point where, I'm fucking fired up, guys. Like, right now, my ears are hot. And my ears are hot, get hot when I get really pissed off. Because we're going to talk about the types of foods you eat. Not calories in, calories out. The science crew, the wingnut motherfuckers, have been talking about it's all about the calories. Just hit your calories. Just hit your calories. Hit your calories. And then it became, well, macros. Just hit your macro numbers. Just only hit your macros. It doesn't matter what the food's like. You think your body knows the difference between a Twizzler and a fucking potato? It doesn't know. Ha 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 ha. And they fucking made fun of us. They made fun of us. They made fun of me. And they pointed to studies. This study, that study, this study, that study. Hang on. I'm going to talk to you guys about a study today. Okay? And I'm going to fucking elaborate when I'm done tearing this fucking shit up, okay? About how fucking stupid you science motherfucker wingnuts are. I'm sorry, but you're fucking stupid and you're pathetic. And I'm going to get to this in a second. Today, we're going to look at postprandial energy expenditure in whole food and processed food meals. Implications for daily energy expenditure. What? Jerry, what are you talking about? I'm talking about taking processed foods and natural foods and seeing what they do to the body energy expenditure wise. Meaning one of them may or may not expend more calories just by eating that types of food. Hang on. So there's empirical evidence has shown that rising obesity rates closely parallel the increased consumption of processed foods in the USA. Differences in postprandial thermogenic responses to whole food meal versus the processed food meal may be a key factor in explaining obesity trends, but currently there's limited research exploring this potential link. So what they did is they went through this whole fucking thing. They tested all the different foods, processed foods. Subject satiation scores and postprandial energy expenditure were measured for 5 to 6 hours after isoenergetic meals were ingested. The meals were either whole or processed. Cheese sandwiches, multigrain bread, and cheddar cheese were deemed whole, while white bread and processed cheese were considered processed. Now, I could take it even a step further and say that if you put turkey slices as opposed to turkey pulled off the bone, that processed shit, you could even make a comparison there. People just think it's turkey, but it makes a fucking difference. And I've been saying that for like 15 fucking years on YouTube. You have not been listening. But there's research. There's actual research published on ncib.nlm.nih.gov. NIH has published this, okay? Hang on a second. We're going to get, trust me, this is going to get worse. The conclusion, ingestion of the particular processed food meal tested in this study decreases postprandial energy expenditure by nearly 50% compared with the isoenergetic whole food meal. This reduction in daily expenditure has been potential implications for diets comprised heavily of processed foods and their associations with obesity. Now, how this applies to fucking bodybuilding, obesity means less fat loss, slower fat loss, no fat loss, okay? So, this study proved, the conclusion and the results are there, that if you eat processed foods, turkey slices instead of actual turkey that's pulled off the bone, you get 50% less thermogenic activity. You burn half the fucking fat. Half. Your fat loss is cut in half by eating the processed foods. There's the fucking study. That's what I've been saying. People have not been fucking listening. There's the proof. Science has proved what the fuck I said, what the bros said all along. Now, bear with me. Why is this such a big fucking deal? Well, let's be real. There's a lot of these science people that don't get great results. They don't get fast results, but the bros do. Why? Why is that? Right? Because the science crew were under the impression that it doesn't matter. It's all calories. It's all macros. It doesn't matter. How your body breaks down the food, what is in that food, nutrition-wise. Okay, processed foods, they lack the nutrition that whole foods actually give you. Like, people can't wrap their fucking heads around it. They did, like, whole grain bread versus white bread. I'd say let's even fucking take it further and do a piece of white bread versus a potato, or white bread versus rice, or white bread versus oatmeal, or something like that. You'd see even a bigger, different response, because fucking multigrain bread is still processed. It's just not as processed as the whole flour bullshit. But hang on. Here's the big fucking kicker. This study was published not recently. Oh no. July 2nd, 2010. Wait a minute. Hang on a second. 11 years ago this fucking was produced? 11 years ago, this study and many like it were published in, where was this one published at? Food Nutrition Resolution Review, PubMed, it's on NIH. This fucking research was published in 2010. Now, why is that important? Because in 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, etc., the bros and myself were preaching whole foods over processed garbage. Whole foods get better results than the processed garbage. And the science community not only said we were wrong, they made fun of us, they laughed at us, they called us bro. That's where the whole fucking thing came from. Bro science, you're a bro, you're ha 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 ha. Let me ask you a question. You science fucking wingnut geeks were so fucking wrong. You were so wrong from your own fucking laziness and ignorance. Before you started firing back at me and the other bros, you could have done a quick Google search, which is what I did to find this, and found that says that we're right. You were so fucking lazy and so fucking conceited in yourself and thought so highly of yourself and your science, you didn't even make sure what you were spreading information-wise was the truth. You weren't even sure what you were saying were fact. You took it based on what? Something somebody said in a forum? You didn't look at the research, because the research is right here. It's been there since 2010. But you went in a forum and listened to someone who said some big words, and then fucking memorized that and regurgitated it, and then decided to take that and make fun of, okay? Try to humiliate other people while you were fucking wrong. You didn't even take the time to do the research yourself to give the argument that you were trying to create. And you were fucking wrong the whole fucking time. How the fuck can any of you claim to know anything about the shit that we talk about when you can't even use a fucking Google button to find out whether or not you're right about shit that you're arguing about? You were fucking wrong. It's been sitting there since 2010. That blows my fucking mind, because as stupid as I am because you think I'm dumb and you call me dumb, as bro as I am because you call me a bro, as so uneducated as I am, at least I research the topics before I shoot my mouth off about them. At least I try to learn about them and know what the fuck I'm talking about before I shoot my mouth off. You motherfuckers all went out there fucking guns blazing talking about how you know what the fuck's going on. Not only were you wrong, but by spreading the wrong fucking information, you robbed people that believed you, that followed you, of results. You robbed them of 50% of the results they could have gotten if they were fucking listening to the bros. It is your fucking fault. They sat there and spun their fucking wheels for however long, and they may still be spinning their wheels thinking they can't get great results because they're doing what they're calories in, calories out. Just count the macros, just hit the numbers, just do this, just that. You make it so easy. But yet, there's research, empirical research, data from real scientists, real doctors, published in NIH, to which I'm pretty sure that you guys would be like, well, it wasn't in like Men's Health magazine where it was published. It was actually published on NIH. You can't argue that it's not real, it's not right. It is correct. It is your fault. You have done a disservice to the entire fitness community by shooting your fucking mouth off about shit that you don't know about, because you thought by labeling yourself as a science or pro-science or whatever the fuck you want to call it now, that made you better. It gave you some kind of clout, right? It gave you some kind of honor or whatever the fuck was going through your head. I definitely know it boosted your fucking egos. Because you guys think as long as you fucking heard it from somebody with a lab coat that you're correct and everybody else is fucking stupid. Well, the lab coats are saying this. So now what do you have to say now? What do you have to say about the things that I've been fucking preaching and the bros have been preaching for fucking decades that we can replicate? Science is all about being able to replicate what you do consistently over and over and over again. And we have been replicating the results, the fat loss. We've been replicating all of that for decades when you guys have literally failed over and over and over again to produce anything that would be better than what the bros are doing. And then you find shit like this that's actual research saying that you're full of shit. Where did you get the idea that this stuff fucking wasn't real? Where did you get the idea? Maybe you should go back and look at your sources and think about how accurate those sources are with everything else they say. Because if they're promoting this, that processed foods are the same as whole foods, and if they're saying none of it matters, that person is not only dead wrong about that, but they didn't even fucking Google to try to figure out whether or not they were wrong. How do you know anything else that comes out of their fucking mouths is accurate or truthful? You don't. Matter of fact, somebody that's that fucking lazy, I'm willing to bet almost all of their fucking information came from some fucking forum that somebody cut and pasted shit from another fucking forum that heard from somebody who heard it from somebody. It's like that fucking, that game Telephone, where you sit in a circle and one person says one thing and by the time he comes around it's something different. Well, this is the fucking thing that somebody said over here. And by the time it came around, nothing matters. Processed foods are the same thing as whole foods. That's how it came. Whereas if you motherfuckers would have taken 5 minutes and said, really, I wonder if there is, let me research this. Let me go delve into this to see if, there really is a difference. Because I'll tell you what, if I eat whole foods compared to processed foods, I feel a very different way. A very different way. Many of you only eat the processed foods. So you don't know that you feel like shit. Get off the processed foods for a month. Go eat whole foods. Stop drinking soda and diet soda and all this bullshit. Drink only water. Do that for a fucking month. Go back and eat some of these processed foods and tell me how you feel. For even up to a couple days after eating like that for a couple of meals, tell me how you feel. You'll have one meal and your body will feel completely different. It is harder for your body to break down that processed shit and there's less nutrition in it. And this shows you are 50% less thermogenic. 50% less likely to burn the amount of fat by eating the processed foods. There's the data. There's the fucking everything. Everything's laid out right there. How they did it, everything they did. And there's actually plenty more studies like this since I've dug into it. So actually, matter of fact, the gluten-free meal produces a lower thermogenic response than an isogenic macro. So here's another whole thing, right? This is another article that's on here. Gluten-free meals, right? We're in this big gluten-free craze because everybody's got some kind of gluten problems right now, which it's not gluten. I know what it is. I've talked about it before. It's not gluten. It's not gluten sensitivity. It's not gluten intolerance. There's something else going on here. We're getting to that another time. But even with that, this article is published on NIH in 2020 explaining that the gluten-free meals have less thermogenic effect than whole food meals that are not gluten-free. There's so many things like unprocessed whole food meals compared to, there's differing effects on high-fat, high-carbohydrate meals, metabolic concept of meal sequencing, satiety. There's so much fucking information if you take the time to dig. The problem is nobody wants to waste their time. They want everybody to hand it to them. So I'm like, you know what? I'll hand you a shit sandwich on a fucking plate and it's time to eat it. You motherfuckers don't just owe me an apology. You owe all the bros an apology. And you owe all the people out there who you robbed of results with your dumb fucking shit and big egos. You owe them an apology for the last fucking 10 years acting like a bunch of shitheads. Now, this is not my opinion. This is a fucking fact. It's right there in your face. Go look it up. Google postprandial energy expenditure in whole food, and you're not going to do this because you're fucking so lazy to find it in the first place. Even when I give you the key words, you're not going to fucking do this. But postprandial energy expenditure in whole food and processed food meals, implications for daily energy expenditure by Sadie B. Barr and Jonathan C. Wright. Go Google that, which you're probably not. That's what I Googled when I found out what was going on. I Googled that because there was a specific thing that I was looking for, and this popped up instantly. And all the other ones are on the side if you want to look for similar things that are published in PubMed, etc., etc. I don't even know where to begin. Where the laziness and the ego that have been going on with these science motherfuckers. I'm not saying all of them. Some of them out there, like the Gorilla Chemist, I respect him immensely. And I do believe that he 100% has respect for bros too because we've talked about it. He's very much on the science side. I'm very much on the bro side. But together, we've had conversations that we've kind of worked through some things like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I ask him the mechanisms. He may ask me, well, have you ever heard of this? Have you ever seen this happen? You know, the mechanism's like this, but it might do that, but have you ever seen it? We've gone back and forth as individuals on both ends of the spectrum and found common ground in the middle to actually learn from one another and put things together and not argue. And I think that had this shit been going on all along, like the Gorilla Chemist and I, we wouldn't be going through this shit. And people wouldn't be robbed of their fucking results because assholes with egos wouldn't be out there trying to be the one who knows, trying to build up their following, trying to be the guru or the fucking whatever, right? Instead, we could have just been fucking getting along. We could have been literally, I worked with Alan Argon too. I've talked to him about things. I've worked through things with him, just talking things through. It's not impossible for bros and science people to get together. It's impossible for bros and ignorant motherfuckers who are wannabe science people to get together. That's the issue. People with big egos that don't know shit, that want to make a name for themselves, or just want to talk down to other people and feel better than other people, those motherfuckers are the ones that need to get the fuck out because they're just holding up everybody else's results and everybody else from fucking accomplishing what they want to do. So in closing, guys, you motherfuckers, stop being fucking lazy. And the fact that this has been there the whole fucking time, and you argued something that was 100% wrong when there was evidence against your case, time to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I really fucking doing? Am I really doing this to better myself? Because you should have known this if you were. Am I really doing this to help people? Because you should have known this if you were. Am I doing this to appease my ego and act like a fucking jackass to be a bully online? Choice is yours. You're the one that has to look in the mirror. BiostreetTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BiostreetTraining.com is a blog. It's to look in the mirror and see what you see, bicep. Ooh, that bicep's still there. And we are out.